In this lesson, we cover the concept of planning orchestration processes. After completing this lesson, you should be able to perform the following: be able to understand and define what the fulfillment completion step is, and also be able to explain the difference between what the default lead time is and also the configured lead time, which would use a lead time expression value. This graphic, which is repeated at the beginning of every lesson in this course, is used to reference the complete functionality that is available in the Order Management Cloud's order-to-cash flow. The lessons we have been covering in this section, including the current lesson, center around the step Orchestrate Fulfillment as shown in the diagram. Within an orchestration process, updates to planning values can be processed automatically, or you have the option of scheduling them for processing at particular intervals that you define. Most planning updates will occur when a task is actually completed. The planning service will automatically manage the calculations either based on the conditions and rules you provided to setup. For example, you can configure that the lead time you want for a task planning is based on either a hard-coded static value or a business rule defined using Oracle Business Rules. Orchestration process planning is a natural part of enabling the orchestration of orders. As indicated in the graphic on the slide, orchestration also includes the following steps: order promising, branching conditions, pause task, wait steps, status management, orchestration process definition itself, fulfillment line splits, deployment of orchestration processes, change management, and hold management. In the Oracle Order Management application, planning refers to the planning of orchestration processes and their tasks. Note that this planning is internal to the Order Management application itself, and it's not related to enterprise planning applications, such as manufacturing or demand management. To plan an orchestration processes, the lead time of all the tasks within the process definition are summed up. The screenshot on this slide shows the planning parameters on the orchestration process definition. Note some of these highlighted attributes, such as the planning default branch. If the orchestration process has multiple conditional branches, then this is the step you mark as the default branch, which is used for planning until one of the branches is selected during the processing. The fulfillment completion step. This is the step that's selected that marks completion of the task from the customer standpoint. Note, this isn't chronologically the last step that always is used, but instead, maybe the last step that the customer actually cares about. As an example, the orchestration process is planned with the requested ship date as the completion date for the step identified in the orchestration process as the last step. Also note the default lead time and the lead time unit of measure. The lead time represents the expected duration for a given unit of work to be completed. Note that if you don't define a lead time expression for a step, then Order Management will use the default lead time. If you leave the field blank, then the field defaults to 0, and 0 is assumed during calculations. Note that you can optionally create lead time expressions by creating lead times using Oracle's business rule. You can use this method by providing flexibility when you have to define complex lead time expressions. For this lesson, a student practice is included for adding planning parameters to an orchestration process definition. To summarize our lesson, you should now have learned to do the following: be able to understand and define what the fulfillment completion step is within a process, and also explain the difference between default lead time and configured lead time or lead time expression using Oracle Business Rules. That completes our lesson. In this practice, we're going to add planning parameters to the orchestration process that we modified in an earlier practice. For this scenario, we want to change the average time it takes to complete certain tasks. As an example, we want to specify that it takes 6 days to ship the items from the warehouse. Within this practice, you'll also change lead times for other steps in the process. This information will be used to calculate the delays and jeopardy scores, which will be discussed later in the course. We'll start by navigating to My Enterprise, then Setup and Maintenance. We'll make sure that we're in the setup offering for Order Management, or change from the list if not. Then under the Search task, we'll search for and open Manage Orchestration Process Definitions. We'll click on the link to open the task. In the process name search field, we'll again search for the orchestration process that we modified. So if you enter in custom, do, underscore, or use standard orders, You should find yours when you hit search. Here's mine ending in my student number. Then go to Actions, choose Edit. Then, in the Process Details section, click on the step definition. Then, beneath, click on the Planning subtab. Per the table supplied in your activity guide, we'll set the values for various steps. For schedule, we'll set the default lead time to 5, and the lead time metric will be set to minutes. For request supply, we'll change the value to 5 minutes. For create reservation, our value will also be 5 minutes. For create shipment request, value is set to 5 minutes. For the value for wait for shipment advice, this will be set to 6 with the unit of measure of days. Next, go to the pause for coordination step. This will receive a value of 5 days. For the create invoice step, that will be set to 5 minutes. And finally, for the wait for invoice step, we'll set the value for 2 days. Double check your entries against the table provided in your activity guide. Then, click the Save and Close at the top to commit your changes to your process. You've now successfully added planning parameters to your orchestration process.